Well, welcome back everyone. So today we are going to be upgrading the firmware on our CR10S Pro. So we just received this a few days ago and already there's an update. And the update's by TinyMachines and it proves to be an incredible update for this machine. So we're going to go through the steps of how to upgrade this machine right after this. Today on LD3D. Our episode shout out goes to TinyMachines 3D. 3D printers, parts, filament, and support. A Houston, Texas-based company for great working 3D printers. Now let's jump into it. We're back. And it's very simple to upgrade the firmware on this machine. There's a few things that you're going to need to know. One, we need a screwdriver with a Phillips bit that properly fits the screws. We are going to need our micro SD card from our printer, and we'll need to navigate to TinyMachines' website. This firmware upgrade is quite substantial. So normally it has a 16-point bed leveling system. We're now upgrading this to a 25-point system, which means we're going to get a more accurate measurement on the build bed, and how many points it takes is more accurate prints. So the more points it takes, the more calculations it has to make sure our bed is level for our first layer, and that makes a huge difference. The rehome Z and the auto leveling. So the rehome on the Z is that hex file that we talked about in my last video. If you haven't seen my last video on the build of this machine, you can see that right up at the top. So the next thing is G29. It'll always send leveling data even if it's not triggered by the LCD. So that's a pretty critical update there. It fixes meshes, it reduces homing feed rates, and it fixes the Z offset race condition in the adjustment screen. So that's good. So when it starts to race out of control, that's all fixed now too. That's pretty much the major upgrades that it has, but major things for the auto leveling sequence on the bed. Well, let's get started with how we're going to do this. We're going to pull you into the computer where I can show you how to get all the files, download all the files, how to put them on the card. The first thing that we need to do is plug in your SD card, just like you do when you're going to load G-code files. Remember to save all of the files that are on your SD card to your desktop so you'll have them after this process. The first thing to do is to navigate to the file folder for your SD card. Then right-click and go down to Format. After you see the Format screen, verify that your FAT32 is default. You have 4096 bytes as your allocation size. Then you can simply name your new card file, whatever you would like. In this case, I named it CR10S Pro. You can click Quick Format and simply press Start. You'll get a warning that comes up, and that's okay as long as you have saved all of the files off your SD card. Click OK. After you click OK, in a few moments it will auto format and click OK. And then you can click Closed. The next step is to navigate to this address in your internet browser, which is tinymachines3d.com/pages/10s-pro. On this page you can scroll down and we are looking for the new update, which is B7. From that, if you have a BLTouch installed as we do, you can download that version. If you don't have a BLTouch and you have a standard sensor on your CR10S Pro, then simply click on this one. We have a BLTouch installed, so we will click on BLTouch. We will click Download, and we will save that file. Navigate to the file folder where you have just saved that file. And in that file, you will see that we have a B7 screen files. If you open that, you will see a DWIN_set file. That file will be taken and dropped directly into that SD card. It will take a moment for that entire file folder to be saved to that card. Once you have the file in your SD card, you can remove your SD card and go back to the printer. Alright, so to start with, we have these two screws. We've got one screw here, and we have one screw here that needs to be removed. And on the other side of the printer, we have this screw here and this screw here to remove. Okay, so we have the rest of the screws around this base plate to remove. Once those are all removed, we can remove this back cover off. And leaning this on its side, I do have it propped up by a box on the other side to take the weight off of any of the mechanics on the machine. So I'll remove all of these screws and then I'll be right back with you. And now we'll finish the last screw. Once you have all the screws off, you can simply remove the bottom, and it comes off very easily, and you can set this aside for now. Now you can see a good view of the internal workings of the unit here. So inside of here, we have several things. This is our screen, which is what we're going to upload our firmware in right now. This is our primary board, solid state relay, which has been upgraded with a heatsink below. There was early versions that didn't have that, and so this helps to regulate the temperature here. We do have the Minwell power supply, which is great. You can see our other axis motors and some of the fans. And the fans are what we're going to be upgrading in a later episode, because they are quite noisy, and there's a few modifications we can do to really remove a lot of the noise out of this printer. But for now, we're going to upload the firmware. And how we do that is by using our micro SD card. And we will just plug in our micro SD card into the card slot that's up here in the top. Push it in until it clicks, and we're ready to go. Now we're going to lay this back down on its base very gently. We're going to power up the unit, and it will update the graphic display on our LCD. And now we'll just simply turn on our printer. And the bootloader will start. And the screen has successfully updated by returning back to its original screen. Now we can power off the unit, install the new firmware for our main board, and do our first test print. And now, just simply reinstall all of your screws back inside of the plate. And make sure that you don't over tighten these bolts. Just snug is fine. Just snug. Perfect. And all we have to do is tip our machine down. Simply attach your computer to your printer via the USB cable that came with your kit. Just like that. Now your screen may come on your printer, and it may engage the BLTouch, but it doesn't have enough power to run the printer. So you can leave your printer turned off at this point, or turn your printer on. I prefer to turn my printer on. Otherwise, the Creality message may reset several times during the process. Now that we've got our base plate on our CR10S Pro, we can come back to the computer, bring the SD card that you formatted for the LCD screen, and plug that into your computer. Once it finds that, you'll see the D1 set file is still in there. Simply click on that and you can now delete that. Once you've deleted that file, the SD card is ready to reuse for your printer. There's no need to reformat it. So we'll navigate back to the TinyMachines website so we can download XLoader. XLoader is how we'll get the hex file onto our main board. Now when you see the XLoader zip file, right click and click download. Or you can come up to the side of the screen and click download from there. A file location will open and you can open that file, or you can save it to a directory of your choice, which we have already done. So I'm going to press cancel from here. Now navigate to your XLoader EXE program. Run your EXE program. The XLoader window will open. You can upload your file folder from the upload button. It should say CR10S Pro _B7. If you have a BLTouch, it will say BLTouch. And then it's file 115k.agx. Open that file. On our device name, we want to make sure it says Mega ATMEGA 2560. Your COM port will be the same COM port as when you just plugged in your printer to your computer. The baud rate will be 115200. Once this is all in place, you can press upload. You should see an uploading message here. The screen on the printer may not change, but it is uploaded. Once uploaded, it will say how many bytes has been uploaded, 158716. Creality will also restart. And you have successfully uploaded firmware to both the LCD screen as well as the main board. Now navigate to where you've stored your files, and there is going to be a reset code that we need to apply to our printer, just like we would printing a model. And how we do that is just grab a hold of that and drop it into the SD card drive. Once we check on that, you'll see it has reset settings.gcode. This G-code reset resets your bed level to 0 so that you can apply your new settings for auto leveling the bed. Now, simply unplug your USB cable from your computer and your printer. Remove your SD card from your computer. Place it into your printer. And once installed into your printer, so from your main screen, press print, select your file, which should say reset settings, and press print. It will immediately finish its print and click finish print. So now is time to test out this new firmware. Let's go through the bed leveling procedure. We'll start by turning on our printer. Our next step will be to set some temperatures. We're going to go PLA. We're going to go manual. We're going to set our temperature at 200. We're going to set our bed temperature at 60 and hit OK. And we're going to wait for those temperatures to come back up. Well, now that our bed is up to temperature, we'll hit the back button. We'll hit the back button one more time. we're going to press Settings. We're going to press Leveling. And we're going to set our Z offsets. We'll let it run through its cycle here. And we will set this just under the nozzle there. And we're going to check our height. And our height is just a little bit high. And that's about perfect there. And that feels really good. Now we're going to press AUX leveling, and we're going to press number 2. And that feels really good. We'll press number 3. And number 3 feels really good. We'll go number 4. Number 4 feels really good, and we'll go to our final one. That feels really good. And this is its auto leveling procedure, where it's going to test all the points on the bed. And don't be surprised if your nozzle comes off of the build plate on this side. That's by design and in the firmware, to make sure that the BLTouch can measure as much of the build bed as possible to give us the most accurate readings on the build bed. And now that it's finished at its home position, we'll check our gap one more time just to make sure that we're good. And we are perfect. So that completes the new auto bed leveling procedure. Well, and there you have it. That's as easy as it is to update your firmware on your Creality machine, your CR10S Pro. Whether you have a BLTouch or you have the capacitive sensor, both firmware options are available from TinyMachines. All of their links to everything you've seen here in this video will be listed in our description below. If you need help setting up your machine, getting the firmware updated, you can always leave a message below. You can also contact TinyMachines customer support. Well, there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you'll tune in for our next episodes. Thank you very much, and bye for now.